again, welcome back to the Best Chateau Gardens. It's the beginning of 2020, last week of January, and yeah, lovely crisp clean day, and so we're looking at propagating Actaeas today. Ideal plant to do during the winter, and you can do this either in December or January. Here we try to focus mainly in January, and it sets it up nicely for the season. Now, in situ, you can see that we have about 7 or 8 different varieties. But we'll dig this one up and get over to the shed and we'll have a little bit more of a talk about it. But same as before, work your way around the plant to ensure that you're keeping away from the roots to cause minimal damage. So your 4 points of the compass. Slide the fork in at 45 degrees to mist the growing nose. A little shake to get the worst of the soil off. And then we'll take that over to the shed via a watering station so that we can wash the rest of the soil off so we can truly see those growing nodes and cause minimum damage as we propagate the plant. So, I'll see you over at the shed. Right, well here we are back at the shed, and just a quick word about the plant before we actually look at how we're going to propagate it. So, Actaea simplex Brunette is the one that we're looking at today, and there's quite a range of Actaeas of varying heights and shapes. Commonly, they're a mid to tall plant, so we're looking at, with Brunette, 1.8 metres, so about 6 foot tall, and clumping, it's clump forming, so it'll clump to about 60 centimetres, which is roughly about 2 feet. We supply ours in 2-litre pots, and if you were looking at propagating, I'd advise that you put the pot in the ground and allow it to actually make up for 2 to 3 years, as it's very slow in the ground. But once it starts to gain a bit of pace, then you'll actually get a good return. So plant the plant, wait 2 or 3 years, nice established clump, and then lift it. And like I say, it's a winter job, so you'd have enjoyed it in the summer, and if you do it in the winter, you should be able to get the flowers again the following season. Flowering time is late summer, early autumn, so it's the August, September, October flowering. And with its sort of 6 feet high, it works very well as an architectural plant at the back of a border. And the foliage with Brunette is a very dark, rich purple, so you get a nice contrast. But the flowers are white. And it's a spire of delicate flowers on the top of this wonderful sort of cavalcade of foliage. And those flowers also have this really heavenly scent. It's a very sort of sweet scented, and for me it reminds me of the old 1950s sweet shops, the sort of penny mixtures. It's got that slightly sherbety smell to it. So let's have a look at the plant and hopefully, you know, get a good return on what we've been waiting on. So, if we just took the plant out the ground, this is what we'd be looking at. And it's quite a tight, compacted plant, and you can see that these are the old flower stems. Now if you was growing this in your garden, you'd cut the flower stems down after it's flowered. However, on a stock bed, we actually cut them down to just about, I don't know, what's that, 30 centimetres, about a foot. And what that works for us is it indicates where the plant is, but also how many nodes are going to be in there, because the nodes are going to appear, the new growing nodes are going to appear around the old flowering stems. So you can see how dirty that is, but if you stop by a watering station and wash the worst of the soil off, you can now get a good view of all the new nodes. And if you look, you can see that there's an old flowering stem, and the new grow is all around like small rosettes. First thing to do is feel around the edges. You will find, in most cases, as with this, that there will be some that will just be able to be broken off. And just bearing in mind that you don't want to damage this node, and I can see a new one here, using a small handful, I'm just going to slide it into the root ball, and without too much force, just lever it so that it can then come off. This is a nice contained one. I'll take my secateurs and just cut the old flowering stem off with another wash that could sit nicely into a 2-litre pot, and over the course of the year would make up. Now this little node here is enough to grow, but it's too small to flower, so you know you're not going to get flowers from this one this year. However, if we look at this node, which is almost the size of my thumb, we can see that that's going to be a flowering node. So again, you can see it's quite loose, and I can really tear that one off. And this obviously got a little bit torn when we were digging it out of the ground, but again, got 1, 2, 3 very good nodes, part of the root system, the old original flowering stem. Now here, now we have pulled all the way around, there are no more loose sections, but we know the patternation of how it's going to grow. So we want to go in between 2 old flowering stems, ideally keeping away from the nodes, and for that we can use a knife. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide the knife in between these 2 nodes, knowing that this one is connected to that flowering stem and this one is connected to that flowering stem, so that one is also to that flowering stem. So I can slide my knife in from above, thereby avoiding cutting the actual nodes, and then pull down into the plant, which should therefore enable me to pull it off. Now a couple of things. This is a nice clean cut, and any cuts into the main body of the plant you want to clean up. You don't want to tear, you want a nice clean cut, and that's because that'll help it heal quicker. Also, any clump that you're actually creating from your main clump, ideally you want at least 2 nodes, preferably 3, because that will guarantee your success. And if you are going to do this at home, bear in mind that this is a plant of patience. You do it, you put it in the pot, 3 months later you'll be able to put it in the ground, but you may not get flowers in that year. You will get foliage and you'll get the height, but sometimes for the first year after propagation they will not flower. Now like I say, there are other varieties. I mean, Brunette is lovely because it has this really dark purple, but you have James Compton, there's a general classification called Astropurpureum, and they just have little variations. So in all honesty, there should be an Actaea out there to suit you. One of the beautiful things about an Actaea is it likes the shade, so you only want to be putting it in part sun or part shade or full shade. It likes moisture retentive, free draining, but still it needs that wetness in the soil, and it will take a heavy soil. So if you've got a problem corner at the back of a bed with some clay, it's a bit shady, this is the plant for you. Late summer flower, for me, to be perfectly honest, one of my favourite plants, but then I think I say that about all plants. So if you've got this at home, why not dig it up and have a go? If you haven't, why not invest one? Sort out that problem corner in the garden, and 3 years from now, give it a go. It is the most satisfying thing to see one of these in full flow, and the scent, like I say, is absolutely to die for. Anyway, hope you're enjoying the winter and keeping nice and warm. In the meantime, I'll carry on and I'll see you next time.